Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So, we saw this deck, Spiritomb, absolutely tearing through the scene a few months back before rotation happened, before Darkness Ablaze came out. The deck was a little bit different back then, but it was winning some pretty impressive tournaments, and its results were undeniable. Spiritomb was, pronounced as a very, very, very powerful deck, and a very fun deck to play, a very unique deck, and definitely one of the best single prize Pokemon decks that we had seen in a very long time. Right up there with Baby Blacephalon. And today we're going to be looking at the new variant of this deck. It's going to be focused around the new Stadium Spikemuth, and it's also going to have some new inclusions such as Crobat V and the new Hoopa that also came out from Darkness Ablaze. Not to mention the two other new cards that came out in Darkness Ablaze, one of them being the tool card Toughness Cape, or Cape of Toughness, and the Hiding Darkness Energy, which gives Spiritomb free retreat, has great synergy with Spikemuth, and of course also not to forget Bird Keeper, which also really makes this deck a bit more viable. So we're going to get right into it, and we're going to be talking about the Pokemon that we run in this deck. We run 14 Pokemon. So first and foremost, we are running 4 Spiritombs. I believe this is from Unbroken Bonds. So this Spiritomb has only 60 HP. It's got the ability Building Spite. Once during your turn, you get to put a damage counter on this Pokemon, but that's not a bad thing at all, because when you look at that first attack there, Anguish Cry, it does 10 damage and then 30 more for each damage counter on this Pokemon. So assuming that you have 50 damage counters on this Pokemon, because 60, then it would get knocked out, then this attack is doing 30 times 50, that's 150 plus 10, is 160 damage for 1 Darkness Energy on a single prize Pokemon, which is pretty good as it stands. However, when you add Toughness Cape to it, then that gives you an extra 50 HP, bringing your HP up to 110 and giving you the ability to put 10 damage counters on this Pokemon before it gets knocked out. If you do the math, 10 times 30, then that comes to 300 damage plus 10. That's 310 damage for a 1 energy attack on a single prize Pokemon. Now, that all sounds ideal, but we have certain things in play to make this actually happen a bit more reliably, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But going on to other Pokemon that we run 2 Jynxes, which is a very valuable card. It's a very important card to this deck. We run it for its ability there, Ominous Posture. So once during your turn before you attack, you can move 1 damage counter from one of your Pokemon to one of your other Pokemon. So this can be really useful when, like, say you're switching out from your Jirachi or any other Pokemon that's not Spiritomb in your active spot. You get to move one of those damage counters from that Pokemon onto the Spiritomb, which is what we want to do so we can get more damage on the Spiritomb. Scoop Up Net also works well with this Pokemon. If you scoop up Jynx from your bench and then play it back on your bench, of course, you get to use this ability again. It kind of resets the effect. So we run 2 of those, and we run 2 Jirachis just to give us sort of a good starting option, a good Pokemon to start our games with. Of course, you get to look at the top 5 cards of your deck and then put any trainer card you find there in your hand, and then shuffle your decks. And be really good to find those switch cards, find those Bird Keepers, and to find those stadiums, those Spikemuths that we need to really get rolling. We run 2 Hoopas sort of as like a secondary attack option. Of course, since we're running a lot of switching in this deck, Hoopa does make, it just kind of makes a lot of sense sort of to finish up those knockouts if you can't one hit KO your opponent's like VMAX or tag team Pokemon with Spiritomb. So that attack there, Assault Gate, does 90 damage, but you have to switch it from your bench to your active this turn, or else it doesn't do any damage. But 90 damage for 1 Dark Energy is definitely really good, and in this deck it can be really reliable with all the switching options that we run. We run one Zigzagoon because we are running 4 Scoop Up Nets, we'll see later in the video, but we run it just for that ability, Headbutt Tantrum. We get to put 1 damage counter on any one of our opponent's Pokemon. Can be really useful in finishing off those Pokemon VMAX that our opponent might be running. Like I said, Spiritomb can hit up to 310 damage, which will knock out some VMAX Pokemon, but not most of them. So Zigzagoon can be very, very important in this deck to finish up those 1-hit KO knockouts. And then for sort of draw support Pokemon, we run a Crobat just to draw till we have 6 cards in our hand. We run a Dedenne to discard our hand and then draw 6. We run 1 of each so we can use both of them in 1 turn if we need to, but we also run Oricorio-GX. So very great card that is surviving rotations, so we like to put this guy on our bench and sort of keep him there. So once during our turn, if one of our Pokemon were knocked out last turn, we get to just draw 3 cards. can be really good, especially in this deck because we're running a bunch of single prize Pokemon that we're going to probably be attacking with, like Spiritomb. So when they get knocked out, it's not the end of the world. Our opponent has to do that 6 times to win the game, so we have plenty of chances to draw more cards whenever those Pokemon get knocked out. Also works with Jirachi, also works with Hoopa, and Jynx. So a good card to run in the deck. On to the item cards. We're running 2 Crushing Hammers. Kind of just sort of like a disruption, right? We want to buy as much time as possible because it does take sometimes a little bit of time to set up all those damage counters on our Spiritombs to get to that point where we hit for a lot of damage. So running 2 Crushing Hammers can really kind of slow our opponent down in the beginning few rounds. For Pokemon Search, we run 4 Quick Balls. Search a deck for a basic Pokemon, so I believe all of our Pokemon in this deck are basic Pokemon. But running 4 Quick Balls just is a really reliable way to find the Pokemon that you need. But we also run 3 Great Balls just to kind of make it a little bit even more reliable to find those Pokemon, because with this deck, it's very important that you get your Spiritombs on your bench and start building those up early. So having all of this ball search to try to find the Pokemon that you need can be really useful when playing against your opponent. And then we run an Ordinary Rod. So, of course, we can only run 4 Spiritomb in our deck, and preferably, right, in a game, ideally, we will use 6 Spiritomb, right? Our opponent has to knock out 6 Spiritomb to win the game. So, Ordinary Rod lets us take 2 Pokemon and 2 basic energies back from our discard pile and shuffle them in our deck. So, definitely a card that we want to try to use mid to late game, and to get, 2 Spiritombs back, maybe a Spiritomb or like a Jynx or a Crobat, whatever it might be that you need. And then as well, you get to take 2 basic energy cards back into your deck. So we run 1 of those just to sort of give our deck a little bit more longevity in the long run. And we run 4 Scoop Up Nets. So Scoop Up Net works really well in this deck with, of course, Jirachi. It works really well with Zigzagoon, and it works well with Jynx, like I've all mentioned before. So running 4 Scoop Up Nets definitely gives this deck a little bit more freedom when it comes to having whatever Pokemon that we want in our active spot. So running 4 Scoop Up Nets seems to be a really good sort of backbone in terms of the freedom that we have in this deck. And then we also run 4 switch cards because this deck is focused around switching. Spikemuth is going to be the main way that we put damage counters on our Spiritomb. So running 4 switch cards is primarily just really essential to getting as many damage counters as you want. In one turn, you can pretty much get 8 damage counters onto one Spiritomb just by using switch cards. So definitely has potential to get really big damage really early in the game, or just really quick setups. So 4 switch cards, definitely important. And then, of course, the main sort of theme of this deck is Spikemuth. So we run 4 Spikemuth. We always want to have this card in the active spot. Not only is it going to facilitate our Spiritombs to do more damage, but it's actually going to put damage counters on our opponent's Pokemon, and that can be really useful, especially when you need to kind of get a few more damage counters on that Pokemon VMAX your opponent's running to get the knockout and take those 3 prize cards. So we're running Spikemuth, 4 Spikemuth, and then we run 4 Bird Keeper, a new inclusion from Darkness Ablaze. So Bird Keeper, you get to switch one of your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon, just like the switch card, except you get to draw 3 cards when you do it. Pretty much kind of a niche card, right? I mean, a lot of people are teching this card in places where you would sometimes see Mallow and Lana, just as an extra switching option, and a little extra, draw support in the deck. Can be really good. I mean, people are sort of underrating Bird Keeper, but I think it's a really great card, and a card that is especially really useful in this deck. So we run 4 of those. Next up is going to be Boss's Orders. So we run 3 Boss's Orders because, sometimes our opponent gets scared of those Spiritombs and they retreat their VMAX onto their bench and then maybe try to set up a second VMAX, whatever it might be. And we definitely want to get those knockouts on those 3 prize Pokemon, those 2 prize Pokemon, whatever it might be. So Boss's Orders definitely helps us do that, helps us sort of win the prize race, I guess, against our opponent, which is the name of the game. Boss's Order is one of the best cards to be legal in standard format, one of the best cards to come out in Darkness Ablaze and just in the Sword and Shield era so far. So definitely running 3 of those. And then we run 4 Professor's Researches. So, we have a lot of ways to draw cards in this deck, but we want to try to, draw through this deck at a fairly fast rate. We want to get those switch cards, we want to get those Spiritombs, and we want to get, everything that we need pretty early in the game. So running 4 Professor's Researches, definitely gives us more reliability in our draw support, and really makes us sure that we're going to have, the options that we need if we don't have the hands that we want in whatever game we're playing. Next up to 2 very important inclusions in this deck. A new card here, Cape of Toughness from Darkness Ablaze. It's a tool card, and this basic Pokemon that this card is attached to gets 50 HP, except Pokemon GX. So we really want to put this onto Spiritomb, give it 110 HP, and then that really, expands the damage output that Spiritomb is capable of doing. So Toughness Cape, definitely very important in this deck. We run 4 of those, but we're not really running any way to sort of go out and find it, so we're kind of hoping to draw into it through all of the draw support that we have, with the Jirachis, with the Bird Keepers, Oricorios, whatever it might be. So running 4 Toughness Capes can be very important, and without Toughness Cape, it's really difficult to get the one-hit knockouts on really any Pokemon in the format right now. Next up we have Hiding Energy, a new special energy that came out in Darkness Ablaze. So it counts as a dark energy as long as it's attached to a dark Pokemon. However, the retreat cost of the dark Pokemon that this is attached to is a free retreat cost. So this is absolutely stellar. Like I said, we run 4 switch cards, 4 Bird Keepers, but keep in mind that we're able to just retreat out once for free every turn. And with Hiding Energy, we don't have to sort of discard an energy to retreat out. So that gives us sort of an extra option every turn if we need it to build up our Spiritombs and add damage counters to them. So Hiding Energy, definitely a really, really important inclusion. We run 4 of those, and we run 4 normal dark energies, which brings us to 8 energies in total. So Spiritomb only needs 1 energy to attack. Hoopa only needs 1 energy to attack, so we don't need too many energies in this deck. 8 seems to be a good amount. It seems to be pretty reliable when it comes to drawing into an energy. And of course, with Ordinary Rod, we're able to get 2 basic energies back, so it's worth it to run the basic energies. Excuse me. So we run 4 hide energy, special hide energies, and we run 4 basic dark energies. But guys, that comes up to the entire deck. So I played it a little bit on stream on my Twitch TV channel. We were streaming with viewers from the Discord channel. I played a couple games with Spiritomb, one against the Charizard VMAX. My opponent played pretty well. However, it did not get the win. I think I misplayed later in the game. But there was one time in the stream where I hit, I think, 110 or 310 damage. And I set that Spiritomb up over like the span of like 1 or 2 turns. So it ended up being a really fun deck to play, and it definitely had a lot of potential. So a deck that I think is definitely slept on. A deck that I don't know if I'll see too many people running, but a deck that's 1, super fun to play, and 2, actually pretty viable, especially in this new format, and the new sort of variant of Spiritomb that we're seeing here with the Spikemuth. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Check out all of my other videos that I made. I made a bunch of other deck analysis videos. Check out the Twitch channel. We stream a few times a week, just sort of playing viewers and having fun on the ptcgo. And then, of course, check out the Discord. I'm organizing a Pokemon tournament that's going to be this Saturday, and then probably doing more for the following Saturdays. It's an open tournament on ptcgo's standard format. The entry fee is free, and right now I think we have about just over 80 Darkness Ablaze code cards for the prize pool. So definitely a really great little setup for this tournament. We have over 25 people, I think, registered. So definitely go check that out. Register if you haven't already. The Discord is linked down below, and the Twitch channel is linked down below. But that is going to be it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Go try out this deck if you can. Comment below, what would you put into this deck? What would you take out? If you've played this deck, how did it go for you? Let me know, guys. But that'll be it. I'm signing out. Thanks.